2 milliliter fragrance samples. What's the point of that? That's nothing. They're never going to last, are they? I've got an idea. Yes, good afternoon. I really should have a lab coat on for this rather than my Santa Claus Christmas jumper, but I've got an idea today. So you may have seen recently I've spoken about these fragrances a lot. I've got a couple of these little samples here. They're 2 ml fragrances from Marks and Spencer's. I want to do a bit of an experiment today. Now, obviously, when you buy fragrances, you might see some online. Some can be really old, but they last forever. But I've also seen people say about fragrances drying out and then they lose the fragrance as well. But is that really true? And that's what I want to find out today. Sometimes if you put a fragrance by, say, a windowsill, by a radiator, would that potentially mean that they lose a bit of their juice? Does it change the smell? Does it change the composition? Probably not going to know that too much today, but I want to see if I weigh these fragrances now and put them under two different extreme conditions, one in a fridge, one in some hot water, how will they survive? Will they change in weight and will they change in colour? I don't think they'll change too much in colour because they're pretty clear as it is, but that's what I want to find out today. And then after that, I'm going to do one more experiment. So there are two experiments. And then the third one I want to see is how much can you actually get out of a 2 ml sample? For me, I like to overspray. So I want to see how many droplets you can get out of these fragrances for 2 ml. So is it worth ever buying a sample? I never buy samples for that reason, but maybe I should. Maybe you can get more out of these than you can. So let's get on with it. Now, thankfully, these are, probably can hear that, it's a glass bottle. Because what I'm going to do in a minute, I'm not going to put boiling water in the sink. I'm just going to have some hot water in there. Essentially, one of these is going to go in that, because I don't want this to melt the plastic, essentially. And then the other one's going to go in the fridge. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for a walk in a minute, because I need to go and pick up one of my Christmas presents I've bought for myself. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap them in some cling film. I'm going to go weigh them downstairs, just to see how much these fragrances weigh. Then when I come back from my walk, which will be about 2 hours time from now, we'll see if anything has changed. Has the fragrance dried out? Is it just a hoax? Because actually a lot of people will not buy fragrances off websites like eBay, even though I do, because they're worried about the conditions they've been stored in. If you store them in a bathroom, does that mean they sort of dry out? Do they get too warm and evaporate? I don't know. And that's why we need to go find out. So what I'm going to do, cut this up, we'll go downstairs and we'll see how much these weigh. I'll tell you now, not very much. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this one here. This is spiced wood, by the way. Now, this one, the Marks and Spencer, I'm not a big fan of spiced wood. My brother's got the 100 ml bottle of this. It doesn't smell of anything, so I'm quite glad to be putting this on the scale. So that's that one there. That's going to go in the fridge today. Then the other one I've got here, black pepper. I've also got a 100 ml bottle of this. Just smells like a masculine body spray, but not particularly high quality. Again, I'm just going to put that in some cling film. Wrap it up, just make sure it is completely safe and secure, and that's going to go in the sink in a minute. I've just run some hot water upstairs. So I've got the scales here. I'm just going to close that door a little bit because there is darts on and it's so noisy. So I'm going to weigh this one up. The scales are on 0. Wow, that weighs absolutely nothing. So let's just mark that. So I think looking at this scales, that is about 10 grams. 10 grams, that's all it is. So yes, you can probably just about see it is literally just moved off those scales. But let's just take that off. Yeah, so it is adding a little bit of weight, but it's very, very slight, which you'd expect with this. But I'm thinking if that's 200 grams, that must be 100. 20, 40, 60, 80. Yes, I'm going to say that's about between 5 and 10 grams. This is the next one going on. So this is the one that's also going in the sink. Has that moved at all? Yeah. It is, honestly, and it's very, very slight. I'm just going to move the camera across so you can kind of tell. It's about 5 grams. They're both about 5 grams. So yeah, let's start putting them in their new locations. The fridge is over here. I'm just going to put this one nowhere near the food just in case it leaks. Let's just make sure it stands up. There we are. So that one is in there. Again, the fridge temperature, I don't know what a fridge temperature is, but it's obviously not too cold. Again, I didn't want to put it in the freezer just in case, I don't know, it explodes or bursts. Don't want to get it over the food, but I'm going to go take this one upstairs now. We'll put it in the sink. Okay, so I just made myself a cup of tea a minute ago as well. I'm just going to put very, very tiny amount of boiling water in this just to keep it sort of a bit hotter. Now that's probably a temperature you'd want to sit in a bath in at the moment. It's not too full, so I'm going to put the next fragrance in now. It's just going to sit in there. Now the cleaning tool is probably going to make it float a little bit, but that's okay. But yeah, thankfully, looking at that, the plastic on the lid isn't melting. I'll just quickly show you, just so you can see. It's in there. So yeah, what we're going to do in a minute, we're going to go for a little walk. I'm going to go get my new Christmas present. I cannot wait to get it. It's a new alarm clock, which sounds really boring, but it's better than that. And yeah, we'll see later on if anything has changed. Okay, we are off. So yes, I'm going to get an alarm clock. Treat for myself and an alarm clock. But it's a lot more exciting than that. It's one of those Alexa ones from Amazon as well. So it's a bit of a high-tech one that hopefully will wake me up in the morning. But I was just thinking, if you had a fragrance alarm clock, imagine that as an invention, literally when it wakes, or when your alarm's meant to go off, a spray comes out. The problem is if it's one that you like a Sticky Dates, which I love wearing to bed, might make you still stay asleep. Maybe you think, actually, I'll just press the snooze button. But I was trying to think, if you had one that sprayed a fragrance that you didn't actually like the smell of, what would that fragrance be? What would be the one that could get you out of bed? That horrible fragrance that you just never liked. For me, really tough. There was a Dolce & Gabbana one. I think it's called like La Force or something that my brother had that wasn't very nice. But I think any Aramis, to be honest, any old school Aramis, that would definitely get me out of bed. Any old school fragrances, any like strong piney ones, they'd certainly get me out of bed. I think Jeffrey Bean Bowling Green for me, that'd be the one that would get me out of bed because it's just so strong, so aggressive. But that maybe is an invention and someone should come up with a fragrance alarm clock, for good or bad. You can put whatever fragrance you want in, whatever sample, and then when you're meant to wake up in the morning, a little noise is made, and then it sprays a little bit of fragrance in the air. And maybe that will hopefully save you a bit of time in the morning. Imagine that. Spray all your clothes, spray yourself from your alarm going off. Save you 10 minutes, wouldn't it? Okay, we are back. It's been a couple of hours, and to be honest with you, just looking at it, neither look a lot different. The one that feels most strange, though, is this one here, and I don't know if you can see that. The camera's not going to focus, but this was the one in the fridge, spiced wood. It's freezing. It's really cold, but again, it hasn't affected the juice. The juice hasn't frozen up or anything like that. It's only in the fridge. But yeah, the black pepper one, obviously the water had cooled down by that stage. But what we'll do, we'll go and get the scales quickly and we'll see if anything has changed, if the weight has changed ever so slightly. As we know, it wasn't much to start with. I had to take them out of the cling film, by the way, because of course the one in the water completely like soaked it all up. So it would have been a different weight anyway, but I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. So let's start with Spicewood. And to be honest, it is exactly the same. Again, you can't really tell from that angle. But it's about just in the middle. Right, and let's try this one. And again, basically exactly the same. So nothing has changed with those two. So I suppose the moral of the story here is do not worry if your fragrance is in the bathroom. Do not worry if it's in cold conditions. It's not going to affect, unless you've probably got it there for a long time, your fragrance. So take it in for your shower, put it back in your bedroom after. It'll be absolutely fine. But how long does a 2 ml sample last? It's time to find out. How very exciting. An alarm clock. That's what I treat myself to. Can't always be fragrances, can it? Okay then, so I've got the spiced wood one because I don't really like this fragrance anyway, and my empty bottle of water here. The reason I'm not putting it on myself is the other day when I applied this, it's really wet and I don't want it to drip on the floor. So essentially I want to see how many droplets come out of this, because this isn't an atomizer, and it just comes out as sort of little droplets. I'm going to guess 50. 2 ml gives you 50 drops. So let's open up. This is your time to guess, by the way. So here we go. I'm going to just pour it in. He says, see, that doesn't come out as easily as I thought. So let's go. Let's just tap it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. If you hit it harder, it comes out more. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. There's still quite a bit left. Look. He says, let's show you. I don't want it to go over for 46 so far. So to be honest, a 2 ml sample, as you've just seen so far, does give you quite a lot of usage. You know, you could easily use this 2 or 3 times. Right, let's keep going. 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. Are you bored yet? I'm on 80. So we are nearly there. 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91. There's one left. I'm going to say that's it. 92. So 92 times this came out. And do you know what? I can never smell this fragrance. You can see it's all gone in the bottle. That's how much juice it is anyway. It actually smells quite nice. I take it back. It's a little bit alcoholic, but it's a cheap fragrance. It's not too bad. Bit generic. But there you go. A 2 ml sample essentially will last about 92 applications. Obviously, that isn't a fragrance bottle like an atomizer. I think you'd be talking about 20, 30 sprays at very most. But essentially, I think they're great. I think little testers, and I love these for samples, they're great for just putting in your gym bag. Anything like that. Gym bag, little top at work, put it in your pocket if you're on the train, something like that. If you're meeting up with someone, I just think it's a good little thing to do, particularly in the summer. And actually, that was a lot more. It was almost double what I expected. So today's experiments, what did we find out? If you put a fragrance in a fridge, why are you doing that first of all in the first place? Or if you have it in a hot condition, so hot or cold conditions, it holds up pretty much the same. So don't worry too much. If you worry about fragrances being in a shower or a hot room, it's going to take a long time for those fragrances to evaporate or change in its complexion. That's why they've got these chemicals in them that you've probably never heard of. That's why they're there. They're there to help stabilise the fragrance and make them last longer. The other thing as well, as we've just seen, samples are worth it at times. Yes, it seems expensive, sometimes paying £5 for like a 10 ml sample. But if you're really not sure about a fragrance and you really just want to try it, they're fine. And you do get more applications than you think. So I hope you've enjoyed that one today. I hope that was a little bit, well, revealing. I hope it made you learn something. I hope you're going to maybe consider buying some of those samples that you may consider. And again, as I said, I really recommend this one, but I also recommend some of the clones from the Essence Vault as well, because that's where you can get those 5 ml samples. But thank you very much for watching today. Can't wait to get my alarm clock open now. Catch you later.